Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the high-stakes, high-altitude chess match between the biggest names in aviation. So what's the secret sauce? To figure that out, we're going to look at four massive players who all took completely different routes to the top. It really shows there's more than one way to conquer the skies. You've got the two titans, right? Locked in this epic duel for decades. Then there's the brilliant specialist from Brazil who completely outsmarted them by finding a market they just ignored. And, of course, the total outsider who rewrote all the rules without ever building a single plane. Okay, so here's our flight plan. We'll start with the core philosophies driving these companies, then look at their biggest wins and fails, check the current scorecard, and finally, race toward the future. First things first, let's get into the DNA of these companies. What are the fundamental strategies that shape how they fight for every single inch of the sky? So the two giants, Airbus and Boeing, have just totally different playbooks. Airbus, it started as this European political project, and its genius was building an ecosystem to lock customers in. Boeing, on the other hand, was once the undisputed king of engineering, but then its culture shifted and it started focusing more on managing a business than on building the best planes. And, well, the consequences have been absolutely devastating. Meanwhile, you've got Embraer, who found its winning formula by just being incredibly clever and focused. It carved out this super profitable niche that the big guys didn't even see. And then there's Virgin, the ultimate disruptor. They prove you don't even need a factory to win in this game. You just need a killer brand and a real knack for shaking up lazy industries. Okay, now let's see how those different philosophies actually played out. We're talking about the biggest bets and the biggest blunders in the history of aviation. Now, Boeing's troubles, they didn't just pop up overnight with the 737 MAX. No way. The seeds for all of this were planted decades ago. The real turning point was back in 1997 when the bean counter culture of McDonnell Douglas started to poison Boeing's legendary engineering-first DNA. And get this, between 2013 and 2019, Boeing spent over $60 billion on stock buybacks and dividends. Think about that. That's enough cash to have funded two brand new clean sheet airplane programs. But instead of investing in a real replacement for the 737, that money went straight to Wall Street. Meanwhile, Airbus was playing a different game entirely. They made this huge calculated bet on fly-by-wire technology for the A320. Now, this wasn't just some cool new gadget. It was the foundation of a common platform. It meant airlines could train a pilot on one Airbus, and they could easily fly another. It created this incredibly powerful, sticky advantage that's still paying off today. And this move, this was just pure strategic genius. For basically nothing, Airbus got its hands on a cutting-edge, state-of-the-art aircraft. It filled a major hole in their product line, and it took a competitor off the board, all in one shot. I mean, this deal is literally taught in business schools now as a masterclass in strategy. Embraer's big moment came from a true near-death experience. It was facing bankruptcy in the early 90s. The company had to pivot or die. And in doing so, it stumbled upon this hugely profitable regional jet market that would eventually become its kingdom. It was a move born of desperation, and it was brilliant. So, after all those huge make-or-break decisions, let's pull up the scoreboard. Where does everyone actually stand today? Well, the numbers tell a pretty dramatic story, don't they? Airbus is now delivering more than twice as many planes as Boeing. It's got a commanding lead in market share. And that backlog of over 8,600 planes, that means its factories are going to be humming for the next 10 years. Easy. And you can see that reversal right here visually. It's wild. Just 2 decades ago, these bars were completely flipped. Boeing was the one with that dominant 60% share. This is, without a doubt, one of the biggest power shifts in modern industrial history. Embraer's strength isn't just about dominating its niche, it's about diversification. Look at this. Revenue is spread across commercial jets, private jets, defense, services. It makes the company so much more resilient to the crazy ups and downs of the airline industry compared to its bigger rivals. So, where does this all leave them? Let's peek into the future and see how each of these players is getting ready to win the next 50 years. Airbus is really playing both offense and defense here. It's making this huge bet on a sustainable future with hydrogen-powered planes, but at the same time, it's cementing its dominance right now with jets like the A321 XLR, a plane that, frankly, Boeing has no answer for. Now for Boeing, the future isn't about survival. Let's be clear, its defense contracts guarantee it'll be around. The real question is about relevance. The whole challenge is cultural. Can it get that engineering soul back?
Can it finally make the bold call to invest in a brand new airplane?
And what about our other two players? Well, they're doubling down on what makes them so unique. Embraer is taking its niche dominance and pushing into new tech, like flying taxis. And Virgin, being Virgin, is pioneering entirely new frontiers, from space tourism to sustainable jet fuel. This whole battle for the sky really shows there are so many different ways to win. And it leaves us with this incredible question. As everything changes, what will define the future of flight? Will it be pure engineering skill, brilliant strategic moves, or just the raw power of a disruptive brand?